ACL Nation, welcome in to Baggin Braggin. This is episode number 3. Meesh and I are going to have an interview with Jimmy Youmans. We're also going to go through the weekend at Myrtle Beach. We had a long weekend, and we had a awesome team draft on Sunday. So we'll kind of recap everything. Meesh, how you doing?
Doing good. I was saying earlier that I feel like the exhaustion hasn't hit.
Hit.
Because I'm moving, I haven't stopped yet, right? So I haven't had time. So as soon as I stop and stay stationary and lay down and relax, I know I'm gonna be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you can kind of see on the background here, the jerseys are in, folks. For all of you that have been messaging me, the K9 jerseys are in. I just need time to get them mailed out. So yeah, it's been nonstop for me as well, but the exhaustion has definitely hit. I think we had a 17-hour drive total. Nico and Stephanie took the first 10 hours of it, and then they dropped me off in Louisville. And I finished off the entire trip, the last 8 hours, just solo. And in the rain, driving in the rain when you're exhausted and it gets dark around 5 o'clock. So I was tired, got to bed, fell right to sleep. Didn't even charge my phone. I woke up in a panic. Yeah.
What time is it?
Yeah, I woke up in a panic. I'm like, oh, we're supposed to record today.
I was wondering if you're going to sleep through it. Hey, did you notice my shirt?
I did. Looking very fleekable there, Meesh. I appreciate it.
It took a lot for me to get this shirt. I asked for it and you said, no, it's just for my paid subscribers.
You did, yeah, you did. But then you paid in other ways with all the mental strengthening that you've done for me. So I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for you.
I got a reward.
Yeah.
So it's fleekable. I like it.
Exactly.
Thanks, Wally.
But no, it was fun. It was a fun weekend. I'm excited to relax a little bit though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a couple of busier days, and then I'm hoping the back half of the week I can just sort of relax. And I was talking to the new social media girls for the ACL, and I was like, "So, what do you think of your first?" And they're like, "This is a lot." I said, "Yeah."
It was their first, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, don't worry, you'll start to get better at these. You start to learn sort of tricks. For example, I always block off a couple days before. I couldn't block off a couple days after because of some of the way this stuff landed, but no other appointments are coming on my calendar this entire week. I'm leaving lots of space for relaxation. Nice. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, I plan on doing the same thing Thursday. I think for Thursday, it's a do nothing day for me. I plan on probably just playing Call of Duty, sitting in front of the TV watching the rest of season 3 now. I'm firing through Yellowstone.
Yeah, that's what I
actually
hear.
I'm on season 4. It's almost done.
How many seasons are there?
I don't know. I think 5 or 6. Okay. But they also have a couple spin-off shows that I'd be interested to watch. So I'll be entertained.
Okay. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Baggin Braggin after this. Alrighty. Well, I'm pretty excited about getting into the teams. I feel like we didn't have time to digest it or whatever. So I want to kind of look at that more. And I am feeling really biased for my Cali Slingers. So I'm I'm just oh no, the team's great. But I have to say that I would be honest if I thought there was some bad picks there. And I know the Travis Purser pick, like we talked about, was a little bit controversial in some people's eyes. But overall, I really like the team and I'm excited. But I also am excited, hopefully, fingers crossed, to see fans in the stands with their team gear on, be doing the whole thing.
Yeah, so I guess we be bragging right now. Are we be bragging?
Oh, do you want me to put?
You got the graphic up. You got a graphic. You might as well use it, right?
Wait.
But yeah, I think that the Cali Slingers kind of surprised me. I know you were biased, so I kind of shut them down right off the bat. I was like, okay, it's just California, whatever. And I looked at the team and I was like, it's pretty decent. Pretty decent.
See? Can't help it.
But how excited would you be if the Cali Slingers just traded for all California players?
Well, you know what? I don't even necessarily care about the regionality of it. I think that they got really good players and I can get excited about all those players. Honestly, the having Rosie Streaker, I mean, that was huge. I love Rosie Streaker. She's one of my favorite people. Allison Peters, another favorite person of mine. So I actually like having some of the people across the world that I think can rep Cali.
Yeah, I think teams format's going to be a lot of fun this year. I like the different jerseys, not just the different names. Mm-hmm. Each jersey is designed a little bit differently. So shout out to Davies on that. But I think that it's going to add another element too, because some people might just be like, oh, blue's my favorite color, I'm going blue, or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a big blue guy, but I'm going the Florida Freeze. I just
Yeah,
I just
they
like the way
tried to
they are.
make the colors, like similar to the colors of other sports happening in that area. And so if we're going to be bragging, let's brag on Davis Streaker for the
Yep.
designs, because man, did he nail it. And he did the Cali one first, and his kids loved that logo. So the fact that Rosie went to the Blue Bears is awesome.
Yeah, I'm also bragging on the production that Trey Ryder and myself did. We were back in the truck pushing all the buttons. I think, Mish, we had 6 computers around us at some point.
It looked crazy.
Yeah, so it's like I had to go and steal a chair from the director's table so I could swivel. And I was like, all right, update that, update that, update that. We're good to go. And probably like around eight or nine, I finally got to the point where like I was ahead of the captains and I was just pick.
You got in your groove. You're like,
I
what
got in
now?
my groove, yeah.
I got this.
Trey was on point. He didn't miss a beat. We stayed there, I think, the whole time. We got up to take a couple of restroom breaks, but I mean, we stayed pretty much at that table the entire time, and we were grinding. But bragging on the squad, man. Anthony, Jeff, yourself, Bernie, Stacy, Trey, even the social media team. I think we all nailed it. I think it went well. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Oh, there's always
a lot of room for improvement. But Facebook, social media, we hear you, we see you. We're going to take it into consideration. Trust us, we are already working on it.
Well, I was going to say, what they're saying, we've probably already thought of and more.
And that's what I was going to brag on next, is that the squad that we have with the ACL staff and the ACL bodies in the positions that they're in, I think we have potential for so much growth and so much improvement. But yeah, I want to say that we have the right people in place to make this even better next year. So you got no choice but to tune in and watch, see if I'm right or wrong.
Well, look at the improvement from last year to this year. I mean, that was like night and day. What, right? Like we did massive improvement. Now I know the one thing I want to speak to though is the entertainment factor. Like I know my husband sits there and watches the NFL draft, and I think it's the most boring thing ever to watch. Like I don't think drafts are supposed to be like incredibly entertaining, right? Like they just are what they are. But we could definitely, like, me being out there doing the interviews, I wasn't planning on doing that. Like when we were prepping for this, the plan was for actually the 3 of us, Bernie, Jeff, and I, to be on that desk the entire time. Right. So it wasn't until the morning of that they're like, you know what, we're going to have 2 and rotate out. Okay, so we rotate out. Then as I was sitting there, it was like, well, hey, do you want to go do some interviews back there? Okay. So it was just that part. If I would have thought of it ahead of time, I would have spent way more time out there doing the interviews and just got on the desk when Bernie or Jeff needed a break.
Yeah, we changed on the fly, and I think it worked out well. So that's something we're going to take into next year. What do you think about the LED boards?
Oh my God, that was so cool. That was legit.
I like that. That steps up the A-frames quite a bit. So
a little bit.
One, I hate the A-frames. They're just so much work to put those together.
Put them together
but 2, I think it was awesome. It was bright. It was vibrant. Like it was really looking good. It wasn't as radiant as you. Whenever you're doing your sideline reporting.
We're going to tell the story of that. So Wally tells me you did so good at sideline reporting. I said, Wally, you couldn't even hear me. How do you know I did good? And his quote, I could tell you were just radiant. That's not a thing.
Yeah, I was stuck at the open broadcast the entire time. Those were so long. Every day was like 75 hours, I think.
Yeah, it felt like it.
We got through it. But I want to give a real quick shout out to another production plus, in my opinion, Corey Russell came in clutch with those graphics. So every time a new team came up, Trey was doing a great job of switching back and forth, but all those graphics were created by Corey Russell. So Corn, good job, buddy. He runs the K9 Unit broadcast on Wednesday. So bragging about having him in my corner.
He's the best. We love Corn. And he's just an all-around amazing person too. So big shout out to him. They looked incredible. And the work he does not go unnoticed. If you look at those broadcasts he produces, he does an amazing job. Shout
100%.
out. 100%. As Wally mentioned, later on in the show, we're going to talk to Jimmy Youmans about his team and also some of his controversial trades, because if you remember right, he had a couple picks, that Anthony didn't agree with. And And I remember Trey I was actually sitting next to him when the girls came over and said, like, what was the biggest shock? And he mentioned one of Jimmy's picks. So interesting to get to talk to him more. And then I found out that a couple of people were upset that I didn't interview them on the draft day. And I just wanted to clear the air that was so not planned. And had I planned on doing that, I would have went to every single table and we would have started it much earlier. But we only started doing the interviews like kind of the back half of the draft. And then we just basically ran out of time because what I didn't want to do is get in the way while they were picking their person.
But if only we had a platform where we could maybe interview them going forward about how they think their draft.
If only that existed.
Yeah.
We will get these people on the show. We will talk to them about what they did. I know it didn't happen during the draft, but I think we need to invite the Carolina Coasters on first because they felt a little bit snubbed. But if Wally can contest to this, that was my next team I was going to. We ran out of time.
We were going to go to it, and then the last few picks, they started going really, really quick. I think everybody had in mind who they wanted, and teams were only taking like 15, 20 seconds to make their last few picks. And then you had Trey, who was just like, let's wrap it up. Let's get going.
We're trying to get out there.
So I was like, hey, you want to do a 2-minute long interview? That would have felt like 4 hours at that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, so we'll get you guys. We'll get you guys on the show, and we apologize. But up next we have Jimmy Youmans. So get ready for that and enjoy learning more about his draft strategy. All right, welcome back in. We have our special guest with us here today. We have Jimmy Youmans, and he is part of the New England Woodchucks. We're just coming off the draft, so we wanted to bring Jimmy on so we could talk a little bit about that draft and what happened there and your experience. So welcome to the show, Jimmy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
What up?
What up? I have to, my first question, Jimmy, is just this moment that really stuck out to me when you drafted Zach Shibner second round and Anthony goes, I don't like it. Like straight up, I don't like it. So tell us what was going through your head there and what the strategy was.
Yeah, so we had a couple people that we were thinking of, and then they got taken a little bit earlier than we expected. And so we have like backups and alternative players that we wanted. Being the first pick, it's another 32 picks before we could pick again. So we really wanted to get Zach, and he would not have been available, even though everyone says he would have. But he definitely would have. He won his pro shootout bracket this last event. He's been on a heater.
Got it. So
he shot very well this last weekend for sure.
So what you're saying is there was some recency bias. That's like the hot phrase of the weekend.
Recency bias. Kyle sees him throw a lot. He plays with Kyle down in Florida. So it's a constant. If you're playing in Florida and you're winning, you're doing pretty good considering all the throws down there.
Is he another Siva guy?
He is.
Yeah.
So Storm is a Siva guy. He's a Siva guy. I don't know. I felt like it was a no-brainer.
We should also note that Jimmy is walking his dog.
Yes, I am.
So that's what
I thought it was just part of like a whole New Year, New Me thing.
Yeah, walk through.
Yeah, Jimmy needs to put some effort into losing weight. You're right.
I'm saying he's got to get the legs as strong as the arms. Otherwise, he looks like a little triangle, like a Dorito shape, you know?
You're not wrong. It's the legs.
It's the legs.
Well, let's talk about your number one pick. This offseason, you knew you wanted to go into the season with Kyle Malone. You had the number one pick. You were trying to trade out of the number one spot, and then Kyle went on a tear. Were you trying to trade out of that spot because you felt like you could get Kyle a little bit later? And then after his recent success, you were like, we're just going to stay here now?
That's exactly it. So I know a lot of people wanted the one pick because they thought some of their players were going to be taken. But I felt like Kyle, as long as we got the pick before Florida, we would have been fine. And Florida was like in the middle of the pack, I think. So I don't think anyone would have picked him other than Florida because they know how good he is. Like they know what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, not anymore.
What type of trade offers were you sending out there?
What's that?
What type of trade offers were you sending out there now that it's over?
So it depended on the team. We were lowballing them, expecting them to counter. Some of the teams were like, I don't even know what they were thinking, like to offer a pick. One team wanted 2 first-round picks, so they could stack their team, I guess. I don't know. But we offered, it was our first round and our 5th round for their first and second. That was like the main offer, was what we were doing.
Got it. All right, now, what about the day as a whole? Like, how do you feel like that draft day played out? Were there any moments where you felt like you had to make too quick of a decision and you weren't sure about it, or did it feel like you were really strong and steady? Just what was your experience of draft day?
So it was me, Storm, and Kyle. We really did our research, put a lot of hours into it, to be honest. I did a mock draft. He did a mock draft, and then we had Kyle like just look over it real quick because everybody knew we were picking Kyle first round. So we had him just look over it real quick, and we had we really only had like one surprise that went earlier than we thought, but we had so many backups. We were ready. Like I felt like it was a perfect amount of time between each pick. It could have even went quicker. But
yeah, as far as the production side, it felt like it just
lightning
started
fast
going really fast for us.
Yeah.
no, it was going fast. I'm saying like as far as the time we were allowed to pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but I mean, like in terms of analyzing the pick, and then like in 90 seconds, it was you guys weren't even taking 90 seconds, so then it was like, okay, then this pick, okay, then this pick, okay. It was like we couldn't even process. Hey, I'm curious, Jimmy, what is your opinion of the couple trades that have gone down?
The one trade, trading your first round for a third round. I don't like it. I don't. And to quote Anthony, because Texas drafted Berkeley to help them draft their team. So they started to draft a lot of their players from Berkeley's opinion, and then they traded Berkeley for Jordan Gamba. I don't know. Not a fan.
Weird. It is weird.
I like the Michigan trade. It's kind of expected. Schermerhorn going to Michigan, so I like that one.
Okay.
Yeah, who's the sleeper on your team that you were just expecting that you wanted to get in the late rounds and you were kind of surprised that they fell to you? Do you have one on your squad?
Brennan Ballard.
Oh yeah, good pickup.
Brennan Ballard going 6th round. I picked him up, and there's 3 tables of team captains looked at me like they were shocked that I picked him up, and then a whole team of captains ran over and wanted to trade him right away.
Yeah, yeah. Brennan's really good. He's just been quiet. We haven't seen him a lot, but us and Callie know how good he is. Really good pickup.
I agree. Also,
you got a couple of East Coast boys there too, and Burgess and Farrell. I think a lot of people don't know about Burgess yet.
Yeah, even Joe Regan, like all those Northeast people. A lot of people don't know him. Burgess and he plays with Derecki. They had a couple big upsets recently. Well, you would call them upsets, you know what I mean, because they're favorite teams, but they could definitely throw. Throwing 10 PPR is easy, throwing SIVA bags as well. We have like 4 SIVA bag throwers on our team.
Were there any players that you picked not just because of talent, like you thought they would just kind of round out the team in terms of personality or energy or chemistry?
Yeah, so I mean, yes and no. I mean, we went with talent and personality because like everyone on our team, I feel like won't get mad at their other partners. Like they're pretty nice guys, and then they want to win though. That's the most important thing. They have the drive to win. I picked a lot of rookie pros because it's their first year. So like if you would go to like a veteran pro, they might not care about teams as much. So I went with a lot of rookie pros I should say, to like make sure they're motivated to win.
Yeah, how important was it for you to keep regional? Because you do have, like you said, a couple of Northeastern players.
I thought it was a cool idea to keep regional, but it wasn't really what we were going for. We just went best available with personality fits. So at that time, I think it was 110th pick to go Joe Regan, and he was still available. Surprised me, but not many people know him, so I get that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything about Brent Smith. Whenever you picked him in the 5th round, I was kind of like, "Who is this guy?" And
what am I missing?
I tried to do some research on him, and I really couldn't find much on his Facebook. So, give us a little bit of insight on Brent Smith.
Yeah, personally, I don't know him. They gave us the papers of everyone's PPR, what they throw, who they are, how old they are. Kyle said we need to pick him up because either Florida's going to take him or Georgia's going to take him. He throws a 9.7 on the season, throwing combats. Sticky carpet. He's throwing a 9.7 on the season.
Okay, so who do you plan on pairing him with then?
What's that?
Who do you plan on pairing him with then?
Probably Jacob, who also throws combats.
Okay.
But so you went pure stats on that one.
Yeah, And he's also in Florida, so if he's in Florida and he's throwing good, usually means he's good.
I would agree with that. Do you think that there's any weight? I have two questions. Did you weigh in at all the idea of broadcast experience, like whether or not they can stand the pressure of the broadcast, and or social media presence?
So, no, honestly, we solely picked players based off of personality and best available, because broadcast appearance, if we got to the broadcast court, then I'd worry about it, because then we're already probably in the finals. I don't know how teams going to work this year. I know we have one rounders in the broadcast, but I mean, for the finals, I don't think we play every game on the broadcast court. So I'm fine just only playing the finals on the broadcast court, and that means we made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How about social media?
No, I mean, social media is important to market like ourselves, but it's not important as far as throwing.
But what about like the other side, right? Like think about other sports. What if you have the person in your team that's gonna, run their mouth on social media and get in arguments with people, and then they're representing your team?
That's my job, is to get in arguments with people on social media. I can't resist.
I know the feeling.
So looking back at the draft as a whole, we talked about your sleeper. What is one pick that went late in the rounds on another team, and you're kind of looking at like, man, I wish I would have had that one? Who was somebody that kind of slipped away?
Yeah. There was one that stood out, and I'm like, how is he still available? I forget who it was. Yeah, so we actually, your updated list of best available that was showing up on the TV screen was not the same one that we had on our Excel charts. So we were looking at our best availables, and one of the late rounds we went to pick one of our players. We probably could have got him like one round later if we seen who was on the best available on the TV. We missed it, so like we picked our player, then it showed the best available, and it's like, oh, I didn't even know he's still available.
Yeah, so that was because you're moving them to that one, right, Wally, from the spreadsheet?
Yeah, so the way that it worked, I don't know if you're looking at Anthony's screen or the broadcast screen. The way that it worked is I went on my computer and I updated it. And then Anthony has his own spreadsheet. So he has to refresh his list every single time that he goes to it. So there's, as much as they were going back and forth to Anthony, there's probably a couple times where he didn't refresh it and have the updated list. But this was going, off of Trey's list. And I tried going straight down as much as I possibly could. There were a couple times where the picks started skipping a little bit. And there's a little gap, and I was like, "Oh, I got to scroll to the top." So there might have been one or two that I'll put that on me, Jimmy. I'll take responsibility.
No, I'm not blaming you, Wally. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that the list was different, so we just didn't know he was available, and it would just flash, and we couldn't see the actual TV board from there. So we're trying to watch on our phone, and like I don't know, it was just busy.
Yeah, it was pretty chaotic and a lot of fun at the same time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Any thoughts on how you want to try to get fans for your team so you can get fans in the stands?
Yeah, so I think we did a good job of going regional based. So like all the Northeast people can't root against us even if they want to. You know what I mean? Because we have 6 like Northeast players.
True.
So also, I know Tornado has a good social media following. He has 10,000 I think followers on Facebook. So when he goes live, he's getting 200 viewers live, no problem. So that's a good way to build. I know he shouts out his sponsors and everything. Just shouting out Woodchucks, I'm sure would be a big help.
Well, you've already got Trey Ryder in your corner. I asked him I said, we should get a hat, and we all have to declare our team. He's like, oh, Woodchucks, right away.
Yeah, he declared Woodchucks.
Really?
Yeah, so he declared Woodchucks right away, at the draft.
Great.
He's a New England sports fan, that's why.
Yeah, I think Misha's staying regional too. She's taking the easy route.
Okay.
I did not.
You pick your team, Wally?
I picked my team.
Who is it?
I'm going with the Florida Freeze.
Oh.
I mean, they picked my boy Jeremy Frazier, and the controversy was going to be my next question, so it's a good segue as we were talking to Trey about it. And I said, Cheyenne Renner is the defending champion. She was the captain. She picked the team. She should be the defending champion. He says, no, the Woodchucks won it, so the Woodchucks are the defending champion. So I guess congratulations, Jimmy. You're defending your title that you never got.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I don't know. So you're going with the three national champions already on one team. That's where you're going with, Wally. I like it.
Hey, winners win. Shoot or shoot.
Yes, sir.
My picks are pretty flawless, Jimmy. I don't know if you've been following Baggin and Bragging much so far this season, but Meesh and I don't miss.
I don't know. You always change your picks whenever they start losing, so we'll see.
Facts.
100%. Yeah, that is facts right there. Thank you for pointing that out, Jimmy.
No
Like,
problem.
well, I'm not wrong,
Well,
but I do.
Kyle
change it.
Malone was my pick in Upland. Like, what was that? Like four rounds in? After my other 4 picks in that same bracket got eliminated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You had, I believe you had like me and
Yeah.
Vincent Frisch, and then we both lost. So then you went Kyle.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
hey,
I
Jimmy,
won.
can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Okay, if you weren't part of the teams, you didn't have a team. Who do you think is one of the strongest teams besides yours?
So if you were to only look at like just draft picks,
Yeah,
besides mine, oof.
yeah, besides yours.
So ours is number 1. I would go with. I kind of like I think it was the Cutters. I like
Okay.
the Cutters team. Harbaugh's team, the Ringers. The Ringers had a really good draft because every time, like it was never going to come back to us, but every time we're in the picks, Harbaugh would pick one of our players that we were looking at, and then Florida would be third.
Ah, there you go. There you go, Wally.
But that's not judging captains. That's just judging the players.
Yeah, the draft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so much we can't really predict in terms of what's intangible that makes teams win, besides just pure talent. Like, sometimes when you put a bunch of studs on a team, it doesn't work, right? Like, so there's a lot more that goes into it than just looking at that. But yeah, just based on drafts, just curious your thoughts. All right, Wally.
Yeah.
One quick question, Jimmy. You've been kind of hinting out there, but I want to know who is the best Warzone player in the ACL?
Ooh, that's tough. Wally, are you okay with the answer if I say it?
It's definitely not me, so go ahead.
Right now, I'd say probably Tony.
Tony Smith?
Tony Smith, yeah. I haven't played Warzone. I'm not a fan of it, so I just stay away from it.
That's why he wasn't at the draft, playing too many video games.
He was definitely.
Whoa! Shots fired. All right, Jimmy, it's been awesome catching up with you and your dog. We've enjoyed this walk with you. But we will close out here. Thank you so much for your time and good luck to your team.
Yep,
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Bubba.
All right, welcome back. And we are going to spend some time diving into the specifics of the draft. We want to look at some of the teams, or all the teams actually, and kind of have a little conversation about what they did and what we think. And honestly, being there, Wally, like, I don't even know what the teams are. Like, it's such a whirlwind.
Yeah, I remember there one specific point they came and said, Wally, what do you think about the draft so far? Who's the team that stands out for you? I'm like, I don't know. I've been copying and pasting for like the last 3 hours nonstop because I was trying to update 3 different computers at one time. And I was like, these captains are going to take forever. No, they were flying.
Lightning fast.
So this is kind of going to be my first look at all these teams.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is going to be like my first look at the teams besides, Cali Slingers, because I spent time talking to them. But other than that, I honestly don't even know what the teams are. So it was all a whirlwind and I'm excited to take a look at them.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Oh, I'm doing it?
Yeah. You're always in charge.
I'm in charge. Okay, good to know. All right, we got the maze. I do remember from this one the Lexi Hugeback pick at round 7.
Yeah, Lexi Hugeback. I feel like the ladies kind of got pushed back to the end of the draft for some reason. Not sure if we're looking at PPRs or matchups and stuff like that, but Lexi, she got in through the conference qualifier. She is a strong thrower. She can hang with the best of them. We do see some main broadcast cord yips out of her, but for the most part, I think she can hang with pretty much anybody she wants. I do want to focus on Anthony Mayball, though. He had a strong weekend, and him and Bracy Blanton kind of started off a little shaky, but then they battled back. So the Missouri Mays have a decent roster of all Midwest people, and I'm thinking that they're all fighters. But I want to see how they handle this 10-round format, and if they start slow, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. They went the regional route. Not everybody did, but they definitely did. All right, next one is the Ringers. This was Devin Harbaugh's team. He did draft a rookie first round in Justin Burton Jr., And then he got Adrian Brunson, the PDC player from here in Cali. So I love that he's on that team. And it's probably, I'm assuming, because Devin played with Vincent Frisch, who's Adrian's doubles partner a lot of the time. So he probably had some conversations with him. But yeah, it looks like a good team.
Yeah, I think getting Adrian in the 4th round's kind of a sleeper pick. There was a little bit of chatter about PDC players getting picked up so much, but when you got a player like Adrian Brunson, and even Vincent Frisch for that matter,
but that's an age thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they would be pros if they were older.
Yeah, I was just going to say they're top tier players, and if you put them in the top 100 at the end of the season, I think they're going to be there. So I like that pick in the 4th round for the Ringers. Good job on Devin.
I do too. And David Ryan, people were wondering how he was going to play with his son Alec and if he was going to match. And I think David's been showing what he can do in at least a doubles format.
Yeah, we talked a lot too with Devin in the interview about how he wanted to get the partners paired up. We were worried about, or not worried, we were questioning who he wanted to go with Creek Killer. Well, there you go. 2nd round, Jacob Foreman answers that right off the bat.
Absolutely. And he did say that was someone they were wanting to get, and they did.
Yep.
All right, Carolina Coasters. This was the favorites going into the draft. Also the controversy.
Yeah, the controversial trade.
Yeah, the trade, the first trade.
The 3.
Yeah, and during the event, the event wasn't even over, right? So we're in the middle of the draft with this major trade, which left Kamba very confused. Going from a 1st to a 3rd. Berkeley pair going to the team, not surprising to me.
Yeah, one player on this list that stands out to me, pick number 7, David Morse. When we look at the best available list, we're all kind of just like, David Morse is there. Like, David Morse is there. Like, we want to turn around and yell at the captains, like, hey, David
do you
Morse
know?
is still there, guys. And finally, whenever he got picked, we like kind of, there we go. It's all relaxed.
Well, and I was saying, and I don't feel like I said it so eloquently on the draft, but I was saying that David Morse adds more value than just a good player. Like, his brain is valuable. The way he looks at the game is valuable.
Yeah, he could help out as far as the pairings go. So teaming him up with Jamie Graham, it's going to be almost a sub-captain that you pick up in the 7th round. Smart pick. And then number 13 there, Drew Brown, Mr. Irrelevant. He's going to be playing with I don't know if he's got a chip on his shoulder, really. I think he's just kind of happy to be there and chill. So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing Mr. Irrelevant does. I think that's a strong 13th pick.
Agreed. All right, the Spinners. This is Mark Richards' team. Another pretty heavy favorite team here with Philip and Nico. Nico shouldn't have had the number he had in the standings. So he's much higher on the list in my mind. But who stands out to you here?
I would say number 6, Blake Karnick. Rookie this season, had a very strong run. I believe he ended up going to the Final Four, winning his bracket in East Moline Open number 3. So pretty strong singles player. Teamed up with Steve Schrader this year. I'm looking forward to seeing what Blake can do in the doubles format. Kind of quiet, but I think he'll make a lot of noise on the boards.
Yeah, and then we already know Brendan Selmayr plays out in teams.
The biggest shot of the season. I mean, Anthony doesn't like it, but
he doesn't like it. Gave him some grief.
I mean, if you're only going to hit one shot, Brandon, might as well be that one, man.
Yeah, and I love the 1st round pick in Tyler Poitras, and I know that definitely threw the Coasters for a loop there. They were hoping to get him, so good pick up there for the Spinners.
Yeah, Tyler Poitras was on a lot of people's radar. They were trying to figure out when they can get him and who they would pair him with. And then whenever he went to the Chicagoland Spinners, everyone was kind of like, that's not fair. They got 4 now.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, the Las Vegas High Rollers. So Tanner went and picked his partner in EZ, which I think was smart. We got Alan Rawls, Kobe Costanza, Jeremiah Hector, a big come up in the 6th round. He's been trending up. So it looks like a good team. What do you think?
Yeah, I love the reaction from Chris Seaton. He sat around the entire 6 or 7 hours, whatever it was, and he was just humbled to be there, very happy. And then when he got drafted, Tanner wanted to make sure that he walked up to the podium, announced him personally, gave him his hat, and no one was happier in the building than Chris Seaton. But one player that stands out for me is Jay Dotson. I'm going through the stats, and I was doing my mock draft, and Jay Dotson not only has a high PPR, but a high DPR, and he's doing it in a pretty strong region. So I haven't seen Jay Dotson this year, but the stats are showing me that we might have a strong version of Jay Dotson back, and the High Rollers picking him up in the 5th. Good pick there.
Nice. All right, the Colorado Timber are picking Frank Maudlin and then Vincent Frisch, another young PDC player out of Cali. I was saying, the first three PDC players, I believe it was the first three PDC players, or at least three of the PDC players are from Cali. So shout out to them. And then the name that I kept saying, don't sleep on, Donald Cup, pick up in the 7th round. I mean, somehow he is able to run through those brackets, especially on the senior side. We're seeing that. So great pickup there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Donald Cup was one of these guys who I was looking at. I'm like, Donald Cup is not just the loud guy who's sitting in the front row on ESPN. Donald Cup is a thrower, man. He's out here throwing right down the middle a lot more. Like, he doesn't really have the most what's like silhouette worthy release and form. You know what I mean? You're not going to put him on a decal.
He's not going to be the cornhole poster of flat bags.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be pretty as long as it goes in. Another pick who I think is strong, and I can't believe he lasted this long going to the 5th round, Byron Sisson.
Agreed.
Byron Sisson showed a lot of talent in the first Open, and he's been actually pretty consistent throughout the season. I'm looking forward to seeing Byron Sisson in singles for the rest of the season, but putting him in this team format, I'm going to be curious to see who they pair him up with. Eric Anderson was on my best available list twice. My bad on that, Anthony. Kind of left you hanging. But the Timber could be a sneaky good team. They got a lot of strong names. I'm going to be interested to see how they pair all these up, though. I think that was my biggest concern when I was watching the Timber. Who's going to throw with who?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good call. All right, the Bully Baggers, the other side of the controversial trade, getting Jordan Kamba for Berkeley Pairs. They're getting a 1st-round pick for their 3rd round. I was surprised they didn't take AJ Sims first, but they were able to grab him on the 2nd. Exactly. So, that definitely worked out for them. And, of course, they had to get the Texas mom or grandma. I'm not sure what they call her, but Deborah Odom, they're right where she belongs. So what do you think about the Bully Baggers?
I like the Bully Baggers team. They did pretty much what Jimmy Youmans and his squad did. They kept it regional. I don't know if any of these teams are actually going to put together, like team practices or anything like that, but they'll all have a good chance of looking at each other and figuring out how they're throwing lately, or what bags they're familiar with. And I think that they should be able to pair up their squads a little bit better than the Timber based on their variety here. One player that stands out for me is going to be Josh Glover, number 6. Josh Glover has always been a strong thrower. It's his first year as an ACL pro, but I believe he has always been near the top as far as players. And I'm not really sure that he's comfortable being an ACL pro just yet. I feel like he's still trying to prove himself. Like, whenever I talk to him coming into draft day, he's like, or shootout day, he's like, I just want to throw good enough so somebody recognizes me to put me on their team. So there you go. You got picked in the 6th round, Josh. So that lets me know that people do know who you are.
Shabby.
Yeah, hopefully that got rid of all the nerves for you. You can just kind of settle down and start throwing.
That's a confidence booster for sure.
Yeah.
Next, we got the Cali Slingers. So this is my team here. Alec Ryan went 1st overall. Not only is Alec an amazing thrower, I was saying that he's just a great guy. So excited. Obviously, the one that people were surprised about was Travis Purser in the 2nd round. But as I said on Around the ACL, they've actually gotten some requests for him. So maybe it was something we didn't know there. But I think the steal right there is Ricky G in the 8th round.
Yeah, I love the Cali Slingers top 8 picks. I haven't seen enough out of Dalton and below to kind of fill out the roster. But in this team's format, you don't have to win every single match. So their top 8 are very, very strong. Alec Ryan, Tony. I like the way that's pairing up. Travis Purser, in my opinion, is stronger than some of the assistant captains on these teams. So I think he's a sleeper. And Rosie Streaker, was she the first female drafted?
No, I think Cameron went first. I think Cameron Belvin went first, maybe.
Okay, either way,
I can't remember.
Rosie's on a tear. Her kids are excited that they're on the Blue Bear team. That was probably one of the highlight moments of the draft.
That was the moment of the draft. The Blue Bears! I love that part. All right, we're going to take a quick break.
Real quick before we take a break, real quick before we take the break, I want to give a shout out to Bracy Blanton and Zach Ingleton on that team. They are two strong players from the Midwest that, Anthony knows about the Rocket, Zach Ingleton, because he threw an 11 ghost, or I think he beat an 11 ghost or 10 and a half, whatever. And then Bracy Blanton, a strong player, picked in the 4th round that nobody knows about. I was surprised. So Cali Slingers, all right, I'll watch you guys.
You're like, okay. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with the rest of the teams. All right, let's get back into it. You ready, Wally?
I'm ready.
Here we go. We got Florida Freeze. And we found out earlier in your interview with Jimmy that this is your team now. This is the team you're standing behind. So talk to us about it.
I'm taking them.
Yeah, you're picking them.
All right. Obviously, having Alex Rawls and Cheyenne in the captain seats, huge for your talent. But whenever you go down this list, what I see is some slick bag, high PPR players who can get out of jams based off of, sliding around the bag and leaving the blocker in play or hitting an airmail. Ryan Hart, very underrated. Steve DeRicky, players didn't know about him. Obviously, my guy Jeremy Frazier, Cameron Presley. There's 2 different versions of Cameron, as we talked about during the draft. But I'm excited to see this. Sarah Cassidy, see they're picked in the 5th round. But then what they did on the back half of the draft with Courtney Coy, Emery Parker, Clayton, and Lamar, I just think that this team is already paired up for you. And I can see them winning 5 or 6 out of the 7 every single time.
All right. There you go. The Kentucky Colonels. This was a team that Anthony and Trey talked about being super strong, headed there by Matt Guy. But Anthony mentioned that he thinks that maybe some of their picks were due to what we were saying on the draft. Like, how come no one's picked up Dave Sutton? How come no one's picked up Sam Finley? How come no one's picked up Nate Boyer? So I don't know if that went into their strategy, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that they might have relied heavily on the draft board, but I do like what they've done with it. Nate Boyer picked a little bit later than most people thought were going to be. Kevin Smith Jr., Kimberly Glass, very high PPR thrower. I want to focus on Tom Gorski, though. I like what I'm seeing out of Tom Gorski this season. He's not exactly the most marketable guy, and he does throw bags in front of the board that we call the Gorski. But whenever he's in the hole or hitting airmails, Tom Gorski is very consistent and a very good shot. So picking him up in the 11th, I think he's actually going to be a huge factor. I would probably even pair him up with Bob Vonch and just let them go to town.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea as well. The Arizona Burn. These were quite possibly the most prepared of all the teams.
Yeah, she had spreadsheets after spreadsheets after spreadsheets. Shout out to Athena for putting in all that work. Ty Lopez was there drafting with her as well. Maya on Faya, their final pick in there. Pick number 8, though, Christian Brown. Anthony mentioned it, and he was right on point during the draft. You're not going to get high PPRs out of Christian Brown. He's a Midwest thrower here out of Kansas City. He's got all the tools. Mental game is where I think he needs to improve a little bit, but going to be interested to see how they pair him up with, Brandon Jones is sitting there. This is another team where I'm kind of confused on the pairings. I'm not sure if they had a game plan on who they wanted to pair with who, or if they just wanted to take the best player on their list, but strong throwers, just kind of confused on the pairings.
The Georgia Sliders. This is a great looking team. Ryan Smith in the 1st round. Love that. Yeah, see Cameron Belvin in the 3rd. I think that was the first female to go.
Bella in the 4th.
And then Bella in the 4th. Yeah, so picked up a couple of the women early on and picked up a couple women in the back half, right? Tiffany Price and Wendy Selmeyer. So Noah Wooten, I think he did a good job here.
Yeah, I mean, Noah Wooten's team is one that I probably could have drafted exactly how he was based on what I know about Noah, because they were kind of confused on the front desk, whatever they were called, because they were trying to figure out the ties to all these people. I mean, it's contraband, it's loyalty, it's going to be a tight group. This is almost going to be like Brat Pack 2.0.
Got it. All right. The Michigan Marauders, the next team to do a trade, which probably isn't reflected here, is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so Carson Getting, Gabe Dolan, their 5th and 6th pick, went to the Ohio Aviators for Jeremy Schermerhorn. So that's going to be a change here.
Yeah, I like what they did in the draft here. I drove home with Nico, and we were kind of talking about this squad. And I like what they did with their pairings. You can see Tom Walter there. He's going to be throwing with Daniel Walker Jr., so that pairing makes sense. Chris Day, I've thrown with quite a bit. If you remember last season, he won the blind draw with Matthew Morton in Chicago. The
Got it.
player that stands out to me right here is pick number 7, Trevor Kufis and Jared Kufis are squatted up together, and they had a very, very strong run, not just in the shootout, but in doubles as well. So if you can get the Kufi
The
teamed up
Kufi.
together, I'm gonna be kind of surprised that teams let him fall to the 7th round back to the Michigan Marauders.
Yeah, agreed. The Virginia Cutters, headed off by Justin Stranger, pick up Ryan Wiedenfeld, a rookie, and I think you kind of like that guy, huh, Wally?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some more research on him, but I'm interested to see what he does this season. That's my guy.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
Who else
One player
stands
stands out here, Adrian Johnson in the 10th round. I'm kind of surprised
Yeah.
he fell that low. I felt like Adrian brings a lot to the table, not just the social media side to kind of get your team out there, strong shot, but just a positive person.
Mm-hmm.
And,
What?
and it-
There's no better team player than Adrian Johnson.
yeah, and I'm looking at this team and I'm like, this is well rounded. You got Leston Allen, Adrian Johnson, Timothy Pitcher, James Washington. I mean, are those all? I think they're all Gladiator players, aren't they?
I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that this is going to be a pretty strong team for the simple fact that they did match up teams very, very well. Their pairings are tight. I like it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. The Ohio Aviators, the other side of that draft, so they're going to drop Sean Markov, their 12th pick, and they're going to pick up the 2 players, Gabe Dolan and Carson Getty, which I think is a great, in terms of who won that trade, I do like the Ohio side of that.
Yeah, I definitely like the Ohio side of that as well. I think you're getting 2 strong players. We did see Gabe Dolan have a deep run. Carson Getty's starting to put it all together this season. Their 13th pick to me stood out this week. And Nicole Pratt from Ohio, she threw very, very well. I kind of went into this weekend thinking she was a social media presence, and she was throwing pretty consistent 10s and 12s, and her composure on the board surprised me. She
Same.
never once looked like she got frustrated. She's throwing very well. Ashton Spees, I got to give him some credit. He threw very well in singles as well. I think I made him mad saying that, you're not supposed to be there because, nobody would pick you to win. All right, Ashton, I apologize. You're throwing very well. I'm be looking forward to it. Now, the only thing is you got to stay there because whenever you fall off, I'm going to call you out on that too.
Wow.
He wants on the radar. There you go.
I agree. I think Nicole Pratt was I was talking about her in earlier rounds. I mentioned her on the draft about how she's probably not well known yet amongst all the other players unless you're in the Ohio area. But she is an incredible talent. And, we just saw her in the shootout so far. And that's a single elimination type of format. So, wait till we get to a double elimination. I think she's going to show how far she can go. And then our very last one is the New England Woodchucks. We had Jimmy Youmans on to talk a little bit about this, and he mentioned that one of his sleeper picks was Brennan Ballard, which I agree with. But what else stands out to you here on this team?
I think for this entire team, it's not going to be a straightforward down the middle type game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're all going to be cutting on the board left to right, rolling or doing some version of it. Sean Farrell in the 10th round is a pretty strong pick as far as PPRs and kind of just going straight in. I think he'll have a good run as a pro this year as far as these round limited formats go. But Mark Burgess, a name that's starting to pop up deep in the brackets in the 9th. But we already talked about Brennan Ballard there in the 6th round. Just huge pickup.
All right. Those are our 16 teams so far. I'm sure we're going to see more trades. There's going to be some changes there. But as it stands, that's what we have. And looking forward to the first, national where we get to see them play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I want to see how they pair up and what roster is actually going to stay the same before the first teams event.
Exactly. All right. That's all we have time for today. We will see you guys all next time.